This is Gary Rockman, your real estate rock star, and you are tuned into Connection. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Man, I'm excited today. Got a great guest. The sun is out. It's beautiful out. Man, I'm just super excited. So hopefully the weekend is gonna start off great for you guys as it already has for me. But two things I want to talk about before we actually bring on our guest. And of course, I'm going to read the blog. And this will probably resonate very well with my guest in a minute. I'll introduce her. But if you guys have heard, there was an 82-year-old woman who had dementia, but has recently gotten her memory back by a change in her diet. By changing her diet. She literally could not recognize her own son, and they were giving her all types of, pumping her up with all types of medication, and they did some changing of diets, blueberries and some other things. They actually gave a nice little list, so you can go to my Facebook page, Gary Rockman, and or actually it's the fan page. So so the Real Estate Rockstar, Gary Rockman on there, and check it out. It's a really good article, just actually even sharing some different foods that are good for regaining or retaining our memory. And apparently, like I said, they weaned her off of the medication. I know, like I said, my guest, Avital, who I'll bring on in a minute, can really talk to you and share a lot about that. And she got a healthier diet and got her memory back. And so, folks, so there is some things out there. Again, we really do need to pay attention to just the natural remedies that exist for us, right? And not so many of these man-made medicines, right? So just keeping that in mind. So here we go. I actually want to get right into the blog so I can get right into talking to our guests. But I'm going to read again. This is a blog I wrote back in August. Is dated July 2nd, but it's The Haze of Life. The Haze of Life. So check that out. Go to the GaryRockman.com blog section. You'll see that. Those of you who get this via YouTube, again, GaryRockman.com, spelt right there on the back, right there, RAHMAN. And you can get these blogs as well. But again, The Haze of Life. Have you ever sat and contemplated why you were born? For that matter, why any of us humans were born? I have, for some reason, I've been asking myself this question for years. It's easy to get caught up in the haze of things that look good, like bling, houses, or cars. So many of us also define ourselves by what we do, like practicing law or medicine. The haze is the bull that we buy to make ourselves feel good about who we are. It's the story we play time and time again, the outside world's interpretation of us. It's rare that we are interpretive of ourselves as just naked beings. I really like taking a closer look at who I am as a naked being. When I do, sure, I see parts that need much improvement, but I also see an amazing spiritual gift. I see someone that beat the odds and, like all of us, is a born winner. I don't see the status or money as being my biggest value, nor do I think should you. We are the gift. That we seek is the mere image of ourselves. What I know is that the best thing about living is life. It's the uncertainty of tomorrow while living our best life today. It's the euphoria feeling that love brings, butterflies and a lump in the throat. It's that moment when we hear a joke that makes us laugh so hard we cry. Yet it's the moment that we cry because we care about something so much. It makes everything seem more real, like the death of a parent or the birth of our children. These moments are priceless, and status has no place here. Life is this amazing opportunity to leave our mark, to improve the world, perhaps even the universe. It's knowing we are the magic without anything else or anyone else's confirmation. learned to take my time with people to receive their offering and appreciate it in its fullness. Life is to me about the moment, and in those moments, we can find answers to make life better to live and clear away the haze. That's the blog. Folks, check it out. GaryRockman.com blog section. But without further ado, I got a repeat guest. I consider her a friend. We've actually now known each other a few years. Did some things together actually. Where we both got some interviews at the same time. Some professional things done for us. And she's been on the show before. She's a best-selling author. Actually, her book is right behind her. If you guys can see that there. Yep, Avital, hold that up. Those that are viewing this, stories of healing, and I'll have her talk about it again as well. But my good friend Avital Miller, welcome to the show, Avital.
Thank you so much, Gary. I am super excited to be speaking with you again and to be connecting with your audience again. I love the energy that you put out to your community.
Hey, I appreciate that. It's good just to have you back. Had a pretty smile, you bright up a room. Your energy is electrifying. I mean, you're one of those people, and this it's energy, right? You're one of those people that you can look at you on Facebook and you can feel the energy come off of Facebook. I can literally feel your energy. That is perfect. That is real, right? That's so that you are embodied in what you share with and felt, because I know I feel it. I chime in from time to time just on some of your posts, but it is definitely felt. So keep doing what you're doing. Absolutely.
Good. I will. I always need those confirmations. Thank you.
How things been? I mean, normally I guess we should say, tell people your story. I mean, I started the show that way with all the guests, but I mean, because you've been on before, I'm sure some who have listened have heard the story. But I guess it wouldn't be right for me not to again have you at least share maybe a shorter version of what you've shared with us before on Avital Miller, kind of where you come from, why you're here, and what.
Yeah.
Just so passionate about doing today.
Thank you. Well, and I would love to also share a little different spin on my story, because we're talking about energy today, which is the comment that you brought up from the beginning about my energy. And I used to be known, and still am known today, as the Energizer Bunny. There's a brief break where that wasn't happening, but I remember being the kid in preschool laying on the cot, just patiently waiting for nap time to be over, because I didn't need nap time many of those days. I remember many nights, where I had to go to bed early and going back to my parents' room over and over again. Mom, I can't sleep. Mom, I can't sleep. Just because I naturally had a lot of energy. I never took naps, even as I was aging. So you can imagine the complete shock that I had when all of a sudden I was visiting with my family in Israel and I kept needing naps. I was so embarrassed, but I was so glad that nobody in my family made fun of me or put me down or made mention of this, because to me that was like a total destruction. I'm the Energizer Bunny. I was teaching 25 to 30 fitness classes all over town. I was a teacher trainer. I was a fitness director. I'd already been a program manager at Microsoft. So I had all these accomplishments under my belt, where people always thought they wondered how I'm the age that I am because I look young, but I've done more things than what my age would normally be. That's who the person that I was. And you can imagine, Gary, if you've ever had those moments where, in a certain sense, your identity gets lost, where who you are isn't there, or also those moments where you can't control your energy. It just isn't there for you.
Mm-hmm.
And fatigue isn't just taking naps. It's your body weighing like a ton of bricks. It's your mind becoming dull. You know, you could easily be wiped out for a few hours and it take another few hours to wake up from being wiped out when you have fatigue. And lo and behold, that's really just the body going through some sort of physical disease and trying to repair itself and force you to rest so that it can repair. So it's not always a bad thing. I think it's hard for people when it feels chronic and it's happening over time and you don't know why it's happening. You know, I hear that from people a lot. I just keep having fatigue and keep having fatigue. And I'm talking about this on the physical layer, but the other thing that I started to play with too. So, I mean, I went to the doctor like many of us would. I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder called Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism. And, you know, the doctors just give me some medicine and send me out the door. So I started doing a lot of my own research and doing things that help physically, like you were mentioning diet before. That was huge. You know, lifestyle habits is huge. But the other piece of that too is the choices that we're making in our life and what is raising my energy, what is lowering my energy, and really understanding more of the emotional component, the attitude, mind component connected with energy. So with all of those things combined and the research that I was doing and the work that I was doing and meditation, when I started doing that, you know, all of a sudden the doctors start tapering me off of the medicine. You know, some people like to say I went from medication to meditation. You could say meditation became my new medication. But I felt so much more energetic on the days that I was meditating and doing these energizing exercises, which I want to share a couple of them with you all later as well. So you have that tool in your tool belt.
Yeah.
And yeah, but the doctors are tapering me off the medicine. And I realized what miracle could, you know, come out of doing very natural things for ourselves. You don't even, you know, I did take a lot of natural like supplements and herbs and whatnot, but you don't necessarily have to even do that. There's a lot of things that we can do without that to shift our energy frame. And the other piece you were mentioning, my book, Healing Happens, Stories of Healing Against All Odds, because I started sharing these healing practices around the world and was seeing people get a lot of results, but also because my ears were open. And you probably notice, like when you're getting a new car, all of a sudden you see that type of car and that color all over the place. Right. So when your ear is open to something, you notice more and more of that. And I was meeting people who were told that they were going to die in a few months or a few hours, but I was meeting them years later when they were fully healthy. And then that started to bring in the concept that fatal pronouncements don't have to be your fate. Right. But how do we make it not our fate? And then that's where this book comes in, where I'm sharing my story and I'm sharing the story of all of those healing practitioners. And you mentioned it's best-selling. It also won 4 awards.
All right. Yeah. Woo.
Yeah. So, I mean, for my first book, I know, and I was held back for writing in school. So we talk about having energy and drive for something. Sometimes we just feel like we're not capable and we can't do something. So I always love to share the story of my success with this book, despite how horrible I was at English and grammar growing up and how much lack of confidence I had. Yeah, I mean, editors definitely help. That's the thing. We don't have to be great at everything ourselves. But that book, it shares the stories, it shares like a resource guide as well, things that we can do in a minute or two to quickly turn our energy around. And so it's very valuable that you brought me on, and for all the people who are listening to get these ideas and to try these things and see how it works for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's definitely because that's what my next question was going to be. Like, you know, you said that there are things that can raise your energy and things that can lower your energy.
Mhm.
So kind of share with us a little bit about those.
Yeah. And the first thing I want to do is even just define energy because and I still do this, but it's not really accurate in terms of like what the term means. So we talk about having high energy and low energy. It's actually a little more accurate to say we feel more energetic or less energetic because we're always energy. So if we
Hmm.
remember from science class, right, it's now out there that we're completely made of energy. So we're always some form of energy and we're always going to have the same amount of energy. But it's more about how we're utilizing it and how we're feeling it. So we feel more energetic or we feel less energetic. But for a lot of people to even understand the feeling of energy, I mean, you probably know when you feel energetic and when you feel tired. But if we also talk on a more subtle level with our energy, just simply rub the palms of your hands together.
Yep.
You can feel heat, right? That's a form of energy. So you just shifted what you're feeling by
Right.
creating that action. And then start to separate your hands and you feel tingling.
Hmm.
Separate them further, maybe a little less tingling, come back together, more tingling. It's like feeling that ball of energy more
Right.
clearly as we come closer into it. But that's literally one of the energy techniques that you can do to start to just feel the energy that is existing there. So that's just understanding that you are always energy and you can tap into unlimited potential of energy. So my guru Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, in a pinch of his skin, he could light the entire city of Chicago. And he wasn't just talking about himself. He wouldn't say that if it wasn't something that other people were capable of. But he just already knew how to tap into all of that energy to have that much power to light an entire city. I remember I had this moment where my car almost got stuck in a crack as I was trying to leave a parking lot, and for whatever reason it wasn't well paved and there was a huge dip as you leave, and my car almost got stuck there. And without going into my conscious mind, I had this automatic thought, oh well, if it gets stuck, I'll just get out of my car and lift it up and take it out of the hole.
Hmm.
I'm a little person. I have a big car. um, but it's sometimes just the limitations of our mind. Because then I
Mm.
came back to reality and I was like, oh, that's not possible.
Mm.
But for a moment, I thought it was possible. And it probably was possible. When we're in danger, right?
Right.
How do you all of a sudden have more energy and more capability? Yeah.
Right.
When you
Right.
need it, it's there. One of the other big concepts about that is willingness.
Hmm.
So you have a big dinner party, let's say, at your house. Lots of friends, you're having lots of fun, right? It's high energy. But it's really, really late by the end of this party. You've got this pile of dishes stacked up, but you know you have to go to work early the next morning. You know it's going to be a long day. So you're like, I better just go to sleep and I can deal with the dishes tomorrow. You go to work and it's a stressful day. Beginning of the week, everything gets piled on you. Maybe it's not the best environment. Maybe you're not as excited about the work that you're doing. So it's just wearing you down as you're going throughout your day. You come home, you're tired, you're stressed from work. You see the big pile of dishes. And on top of seeing that and just feeling too tired to possibly attack it, you're also frustrated that nobody else in the house took a stab
Right.
at
Right.
those dishes. So then you've got this other emotion tacked onto it. So all you can think about is just plopping yourself onto the couch. Just wasted. There's nothing I can do. I'm just going to sit here and slump and be annoyed and depressed. Luckily, today, since we're all addicted to our phones, the phone rings, but it's right next to you. because we always have our phones by us. And you look at it, and it is your best friend from college. So a little perk starts to go through you. You answer the phone. And your friend says, hey, I came to town for a business meeting, but the meeting is canceled. I just have tonight. Do you want to go out and do something? What happens? All of a sudden, you can jump out of the couch, take a quick shower, go out for the entire evening partying with your friend. Because the willingness was there.
Mm-hmm.
You had the energy for it. So also my guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, would say the greater the will, the greater the flow of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is so important to think about when you have low energy. Like when you're tired, it's also withdrawal. I mean, sometimes it's because you're having a health issue, you need to recover. You've been around too many people, you've had too much to process, and you need to go inwards, right? But sometimes it's also just because you are not willing to do that thing that is causing the tiredness. And it's up to you to figure out if it's the thing before, during, or after that moment that you feel tired.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to think about what's going on in your life and what your true willingness is. And then you're going to take that situation and you're going to say, is this something that I can just not do because I'm not willing? Or is there a way that I can shift my attitude about this because I truly believe that I should be doing this? I sometimes, if I don't feel willing, like one of the things that gets me is one of my top priorities is to stay committed, right? I almost rescheduled with you and I hate doing that. But so commitment is huge for me. And so if I can avoid canceling at all cost, I will. And even if it's something I'm not excited to do, but I'm more excited to stay committed. So I focus my mind on the fact that I'm following through with one of my core principles, which is to stay committed. And that starts to energize me. And Gary, you might have a lot of entrepreneurs listening to your show, and you probably know some of what this is like as well as an entrepreneur. And when you're first starting up, you might not have any money.
Right.
And if you just quit your job right away, I mean, it can take 3 to 5 years or more until your business is giving you the return and just a profit, and then more than that for it to give you the return to be at the success level that you want to be at and at the lifestyle that you want to be at. And so there you are, stuck in this job that you don't want to be doing anymore, and you see this vision of what you do want to do, right? And that can lower your energy. But you can also look at this as like, this is the funder, this is the grantor to my business, to making it happen. So this will get me there. So this is now okay because I shifted my relationship with it. Instead of just thinking about, oh, I should be doing my business, not this anymore. This isn't me anymore. Or, oh, this is actually helping me start my business. And set a very clear financial plan.
Right. No, I like that. I like that. There's definitely a shift just from an attitude standpoint as well. And, you know, with children 10 and 11 years old, they do a lot of things. We, you know, as parents kind of introduce them to a lot of different activities and things. And oftentimes, to your point, you know, it depends on how, if they like it, they take to it or not. But sometimes those attitudes, we have to remind them that approaching it differently, especially if it's one of those things that we as parents, like, you know, there's no deal breaker here. You have to actually do this, complete this, whatever the case may be, and really trying to teach that, you know, that attitude is so important to how we even appreciate something, right? Like you said, like, you know, just that job that you once thought was a burden. Now you a little sooner with a little bit more cushion and success coming out the gate. So that's a great way to approach it. A great way to approach it. And uh, when we do talk about energy, like you said, a lot of times, and I'm an energy guy. Um, Sometimes we do make it sound very abstract, right? But the way those simple things, right, that you did, uh, a lot more. I think people can identify with that a lot easier and start to understand those concepts. So I appreciate the way you broke that down.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And also just to point this out, I was talking about two layers, working with the mind and working with the body. And we can retrain the mind, trick the mind, bypass the mind to get it to cooperate with
Okay.
where we want to go and what's going to help us feel more energetic. But the other subtlety I mentioned is, when do we need to withdraw? When does our body need a break? So really fine-tuning, paying attention to what is happening with yourself, mind, body, and spirit connected. And then deciding in each moment, what is going to give me more energy?
Mm-hmm.
I'm out there a lot. And I used to think I was introverted. I still somewhat am,
Mm.
because having a
Really?
long time
No
is
way.
recovery for me. But I used to not be able to be around people as much as I can now, because
Is
I've
that right?
become a stronger person and because I have quicker recovery tools. But there's these moments where if I'm just out around people too much, because I'm like a sponge, so I'll pick up everything going on with everyone else. And literally sometimes, it used to be like I'd have to be alone for a week or a few months, right? But now I can just go be alone for a few hours, wipe it all out of my system, and all of a sudden I'm energetic again,
Okay.
where I was starting to feel tired and drained. So that's another
Wow.
example of working with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I would have never guessed that. I would have never guessed that about your personality. And that, and you're not, I've heard other people that were similar, right? And but and I guess I don't know. I mean, I do have those moments as well when I kind of just want to download. But definitely, I believe I'm an extrovert, absolutely. but yeah, I get it. But to your point of that absorption,
Hmm.
I definitely identify with, right. And one of the things that I've done in my life, and I even wrote about it in my book, is that really kind of separating myself
Hmm.
from those that I felt were their energy wasn't vibrating on the frequency that I needed or that I wanted around me.
Yeah.
And sometimes these are people that we love,
Hmm.
but not necessarily people that are healthy for our growth.
Yeah.
And so, and I stress that even with my children, that it's very important, right, that we create friendships with people that
Hmm.
are going to vibrate us so that we're moving forward and we're in that higher energy state of who we are, versus those that kind of bring us down
Hmm.
with negative talk or because I think those that are around us should be supportive and lifting us and
Hmm.
inspiring us or help to inspire us to do greater things. So,
Yeah.
so I definitely identify with that.
Yeah.
But from a health, I would like you to actually tap into how these things actually too can be detrimental to our health.
Hmm.
That absorption of that negative energy and what that actually does.
Yeah. Well, the gift of me having had health issues
Mhm.
means that that's still, like, in a way, my body's go-to give me message about a situation. And I'll very clearly know if everything's going on fine in life, but I'm having a really bad relationship with somebody, and I'll start to see some of the old signs and patterns in my body, where there's weight gain, where there's hair loss, where there's fatigue, where there's like bags under my eyes, where there's slow thinking, where there's headaches, where there could be a cold or a fever. All of those things tend to be some of the responses in my body to situations that are not going well.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, we can look at this two ways, right? And so one is, all right, just get those people out of there, get those situations out of there that you are responding in this way, because those are not good matches if that's how your body is responding. And it's a gift in a way too, to force you to create a high caliber of what you're going to accept in life.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk about this as a stress response, because most sickness is really just coming from some sort of stress response. And when you start to study some of the things like what Louise Hay has done, and Dr. Sarno, is that his name? Where he talked about how, like, a lot of times healing emotions, heals the physical pain as well. Louise Hay coined specifically certain mental states or emotions that are often connected with certain diseases. So that's what creates the variety of types of things that we get, because there's an unlimited number of challenges and issues that we each individually have. And they can be manifested in the physical body. And part of why it gets manifested in the physical body and it's not brought to our emotional or mental awareness is because it's too much to handle. So literally the body says, okay, I will absorb that instead until you are ready to look at that. But stress response in the body is, so we're stimulating the sympathetic nervous system, right? You can only be in the sympathetic nervous system or the parasympathetic nervous system, the stress response or the relaxation response. You're not going to be in both at the same time. And most of us are in the sympathetic nervous system, whether or not you realize it, because every time that your phone dings, where it's not a sound that you were expecting, it surprises the system. And it takes 48 hours for the body to recover from that. That's why I highly recommend turning the sounds off on your phone, which is good anyways, because then you're choosing how you want to spend each moment of your life and choosing when you're going to look at your phone. But that's one way that you can just eliminate it, because there's always going to be sounds around you. You're not necessarily going to have control over everything. So minimizing the number of things that can create that type of impact on you is going to be very, very helpful. And so now we've got the stress response going. And where is your blood flow going when you're in stress response? Like, why traditionally does the body turn on the stress response? Do you know this, Gary?
Why does your body turn on the stress response? It's actually a protection. Isn't it some sort of level of protection? So yeah, that would be my first answer.
Yeah. And now imagine when we were living in caves or in teepees, and we didn't have as much protection as a house and layers of boundary from wild animals. And you could be like a deer caught in headlights, right? That's the freeze. But you also might know you need to run away from a situation, or you need to fight the animal that is attacking you, right? Depending on the situation. So that's traditionally what the response is. And in order for us to be able to do any of those things, our blood flow is not going to our brain. It's going to our physical body to give us a greater ability to fight or to run away. So now we're not thinking straight as well, right? But what's also going to happen is if we continue to stay in that state and all the blood flow is running, let's say, just to the muscles so that you can keep running or keep fighting, then we're not necessarily sending blood flow to the vital organs. We're not going to need to send blood flow to maintain hair and skin. Those are our things, and even eyesight. Those are more peripheral things. They're not as important things as like keeping the heart pumping, let's say. So that's part of why we get those physical responses. The body is going to turn some things to fat instead of to muscle, because it's not as important to have as much muscle when there's an injury that's happening in the body. So what we have is just a skewed version of where is the blood flowing, so how is it supporting the body in the way it needs to? And when things start to lose the power and the momentum, right, that's when they start to go down. And then that's where even more the blood flow goes, oh, okay, well, now I've been sending all this blood to my muscles for so long so I could, run from the situation or fight, and it's not sending it to some of the organs, so the organs stop functioning as well. So then it goes, all right, well, now I see what's happening here. I've stopped running, but now I've got this sickness going on in the body, so I'm going to send all my blood flow to that organ that is suffering, and I have a limited supply, so I'm not going to send as much to, let's say, my hair and my nails. And those are some of the physical responses. So when you see those physical responses, people, you don't need to worry as much, because it doesn't mean that your body is not working and therefore those things are happening. It means that your body is trying to heal something, and it is focusing its energy on those things that are going on. So then what you're going to do is you're going to start going into the tools that help give you a greater supply of energy, so that you can combat those situations.
Okay.
And does it mean renegotiating how you spend your time? It could mean hours and hours of sleep. It could mean restorative yoga, which is a little bit more energizing way to recover than sleep, or meditation. So part of the big reason why meditation helped me was because it turned off the sympathetic nervous system. It brought me into relaxation response, which then meant that the entire functioning of my body could work well, that blood could go everywhere at an even distribution in the way that it needs to be a normally functioning body. That's, I have an engineering degree, so I'm somewhat of a scientist, but I'm still not a doctor. So that's sort of my Avital science way of explaining some of these things. You can always get a little more detailed with a scientist or a doctor on exactly what the stages are of those processes that happen in the body. And we're looking at cortisol levels, and different hormones in the body as well come into play with how we're responding and why the body doesn't function in the ways that it needs to, because you're too high or too low in certain types of hormones also. And so that's a bit on the physical response, and hopefully that gives you some understanding as to what can be the degradation to the body, and how are we going to improve that. So I talked one way about feeling more energy is just simply giving yourself the rest. And the other way is by turning off the sympathetic nervous system. And another way is calling energy in, like consciously calling energy in.
Okay, share that.
Yes. And part of that is if you just to think about this, because if you think about the state of your mind and the law of attraction, like right now, even just think, I'm tired. And now think, I'm energetic.
Right.
I mean, literally, what shifted in the way that you were holding your body?
Absolutely. Yeah, your shoulders rise when you're thinking energy, your eyebrows may even pop up, you feel like you get a little charge in your brain. Yeah, absolutely. And when you're the opposite of that is kind of, you feel, when you feel slumpy or down, you feel something in your stomach kind of just, yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Okay, and so now what you just talked about was up and down, right? Here we go. I do my arrows correctly with my fingers, up and down. So down when energy feels low, so body gets smaller and lower. Up when energy feels high. So very simple technique, like while you're meditating, and part of why I feel the meditation path that I do is energizing is because under closed eyelids, we're looking up slightly. Because that shifts the energy up. And I'll explain this concept too. It's a little bit deeper concept. But once you, and I want to do a couple exercises with you guys as well. So I'm going to stand up in a minute and move my camera to do that with you. But the first part of the body that forms as a fetus is the medulla oblongata, right at the bottom of the hairline behind the neck. Mm-hmm. In yoga, they like to call that the mouth of God, because in a sense, that's where energy and life force entered into the body, and the form of energy became a physical form. So as you do these exercises, and it's a little hard to think about that your first time, so as you get more advanced with these, and you can always, connect with me to get on one of my online courses or my meditation program, so that you can get access to practicing these regularly and remembering what they are. Because there's a whole set of energization exercises which take 11 minutes once you know them. But we're just going to do a couple super conscious living exercises here. But the energy is coming in through the medulla oblongata. It's spreading to the body part that you're focusing on as you do the exercise, and then you're directing it up to that point between the eyebrows. So we're directing energy up. So that's just a very deep concept, is think of like literally more and more energy can come into your body through the medulla oblongata. Mm-hmm. Because that's literally the entry point to creating the physical manifestation. So if you're going with the yogic principles and just the understanding of how the body was originally developed, then that's what you can think about, is that's the entry point to where the energy is coming into your body. And then you're directing it out to what we also call in yoga the spiritual eye. Mm. And I always like to think of that as the connection with the divine. And it's kind of interesting. This is a new thought I'm getting just in correlation. When scientists are testing intuition, they notice that the prefrontal lobe is stimulated when people are using intuition. And intuition is another form of saying getting the messages from God, from divine, from source. But what happens when we have intuition, right? It makes everything in life easier, because we're making choices faster, we're drawing the right people to ourselves, we're coming up with smarter solutions as to how to do things, which is also going to give us more energy, because we're being more super conscious, we're being more deliberate, we're working smarter, not harder, right? Because working harder can just wear us out. But working smarter is when we're drawing something in, right? Working harder is when we're depleting and losing. So you can also think about that as well when you're thinking about directing your energy to the point between the eyebrows. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move. Oh, yep. Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Makes really a lot of sense.
Awesome.
Someone that my wife and I, we've been practicing tantra, and reading a lot of different books and things of that nature. So there's some similarities as well when we're talking about different yoga moves and things like that to bring the energy into the right places. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and tantra is about energy. I know people like to create ideas as to what tantra is about, but it's really just about how you manipulate energy.
Absolutely.
Yep. Because I'm moving my camera here.
Okay.
And I will describe this as well. So those of you who are just listening and you can't see me, you'll still be able to do these things. So if you can stand up wherever you are and give yourself some space, that will be really good to do this. And what you're going to do is just walk in place. And when you walk, you're going to swing your arms just like you were in a marching band. So your knees are going to come up high while you do this. And now here's where you're going to get the test of believing that you have an unlimited supply of energy. Because the more you put into this, the more energetic you feel. So we don't want to think about the fact that the more you put into this, you're going to get depleted. But the more you put into this, the more you're going to get as a result out of this. And then you are going to say, while you're walking and lifting your knees high, I am awake and ready. 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 Okay, now, you're going to bring your arms to what I call cheerleader position, where you put your hands in fists right in front of your chest. Stretch your arms out to the sides and bring them back to that neutral position, hands to your chest. Stretch your arms straight forward, bring them right back in, stretch them overhead. You can come on your toes. You can even jump when you do this, and then just relax your arms all the way back down. And you're going to say words with this. And the words, when you reach your arms to the side, are I am positive. When you reach your arms forward, yes. When you reach the arms forward, I am energetic.
I am energetic.
And when you reach your arms above, and enthusiastic.
And enthusiastic.
Yes, so now we're going to do this all together. I am positive, energetic, and enthusiastic. I am positive, energetic, and enthusiastic. I am positive, energetic, and enthusiastic. Awesome. Now knock your arms. I am master of my body. I am master of myself. I am master of my body. I am master of myself. I am master of my body. I am master of myself. And now go ahead and massage your entire body. Awake, rejoice, my body cells. 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 Knock your head. Be glad, my brain, be wise and strong. Be glad, my brain, be wise and strong. Be glad, my brain, be wise and strong. Massage, moving the skin on top of your scalp. Awake, my sleeping children, wake. Awake, my sleeping children.
Wake.
Awake, my sleeping children, wake. Awake, my sleeping children, wake. Good. Now that we messed up our hair, how do you feel now?
Oh man, I feel good. Woo!
And that took what, a minute or two?
Yeah. No, I feel better. Like really, man, shoot.
So we did something that requires energy in order to feel energy, but that just doing that exercise is one of the ways. There's a lot of ways that I teach, but this is one of the ways to just very, very quickly draw more energy into your system and feel more energetic.
Oh man, that was cool. That was cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it feels silly and childish, but that's part of the fun.
yeah, I can do that with the kids and
exactly.
Get them on my page with that one. I think. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's all right. So, man, Avital, you got to tell, man, thank you for sharing all of that, right? And, we have some takeaways. Folks can kind of take some of those away with them and try them in their days and see how they feel and all that good stuff. Tell folk how they can actually connect with you. You've been all over. You've been traveling a lot. Share a little bit about like where you've been with your book, and you just wrote another book or something too, right?
I did. I got published in another book. That book, and I have my idea for my next book. I just have a couple other projects I have to finish first.
Okay.
But my next book is called Practice and Wisdom from the Downward Facing Dog.
Oh, wow.
And there's about 50 yoga practitioners that are in this book.
Okay.
And actually, I'll bring this back to the concept of energy. So I have a chapter in here, and it is about me leaving the spiritual community that I used to live at, because that was the hardest thing that I have ever done, was making that decision to leave. And when it comes to energy, it's truly living your life the way that it's meant to be lived. When you're not, you're going to feel less energetic. When you are, you're going to feel more energetic.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps relate to energy, is by understanding that process that I went through to really come to understanding, am I doing the right thing for myself? You know, and then you're asking like, where have I been? I have been around the world sharing about the book Healing Happens. And when I was at the spiritual community, I had a sense of community there. It didn't quite feel like the right community, and it felt like I needed to be more integrated with the world. I wasn't as aligned with that path anymore. And I left. And since then, I had really been figuring out, putting the pieces together of what does life look like now? Because I lived there for almost 7 years. So when you're in a secluded environment and you think you're surrendering your life to that, I didn't have a full picture of what life was going to look like outside of that, because I thought that was my life. And so it's taken that time. And the first thing was, okay, I'm writing this book, and then I'm going on book tour. And I didn't necessarily know what's happening after that. And while I was traveling, I loved traveling, and I got very used to traveling. So it's actually, once you get in the momentum of something, it's very easy to continue with that and figure out how you're going to keep your energy high, despite how much traveling could wear you down. So I've also written some travel blogs to give people tips on that. But what was happening was, everywhere I went, I was staying with some of my favorite people who I've met, the people who I connect with the most. And I was speaking for their community and just seeing them in their community and getting jealous of the fact that they each had community. And I was going out to restaurants. I was dancing. I was spending tons of social time. I was getting asked out on dates by handsome men. And the last place that I'd been living on the coast of Oregon is just this little sleepy town that's really beautiful, but none of that was happening there. And so I recently moved to Denver, so now I'm in stage of how do I set up a more grounded life and develop community here. So I get to continue to do programs for healing. I'm about to launch a new group coaching program called Full Body Success Mastery. So when we talk about these energy techniques, think about all the ways that it can impact your life to be able to shift your energy, at the flip of a dime, right? To be able to have more energy when a busy week is coming up, when you are about to go do a fun thing. Like, how do I have that energy? But there's also all these tricks that I techniques. So you sprain your ankle before your dream vacation. You get a sore throat before a big presentation. How do you quickly turn those situations around? So if you really want to have more tools in your pocket of how you can manipulate your body and your life more and make this your lifestyle, that's what that program is for. The best way for people to connect with me is you can call me 503-307-3756, email info@avitalmiller.com. Avital is spelt like Avital, A, V for victory, I, T for talented, A-L. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on all social media platforms, but Facebook is one of the bigger ones that I'm on. And then if you want to just, dive right in and join my meditation program where we do these energizing regularly, then just visit my website, www.avitalmiller.com. and go to the members section there, and that's where you can join that. And those of you that want to take home, just the energy and the health techniques, then go ahead and go to the website that's based around my book. And the website is Healing Happens For You, FORYOU.com. And that's where you can get access to the book, to my blog, to the podcast, and to the online courses so that you can do some home self-study of these techniques. Really simple. Once you know them, you've got them forever. You don't need to run to the store, and even get something. You've got it right there in the moment, something you can do to turn a situation around.
All right. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I'm a fan and all that good stuff. So I appreciate you coming on the show and really sharing and diving into just some real practical practices that people can do today, right? And feel better now, and then to continue on that journey of better health, of better a better use of their energy. Right. So I think all those things are great, and I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate you and your openness and the diversity that you bring forward through your program. And
Hey.
yeah, I'm just so appreciative that we get to be connected, that we met at that program that we did a few years ago, and that we continue this relationship in
Yeah,
time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think again, that for me it was even there were just there was certain energy that you kind of wanted to continue the connection and grow and see the outcome. So
Mhm.
yeah, for me too, dittos. But hey, yo, we got love to have you again, and I'm sure we will be calling you again. And I know you're
Yeah.
gonna be doing some great things, so I'll continue to follow you. And folks, I hope you do the same. I hope you guys have enjoyed this program. I think she touched on a lot of things, even from the standpoint of even my blog on like the importance of our own energy and how we can determine that, and how it's so much more important than the material things that we kind of or the identity that we place on ourselves. But we can actually master our true fate, right? We can actually master that. So again, folks, thank you. This is Gary Rockman, your real estate rock star. You've been listening to Connection, and until next week, folks, keep moving forward.
Hmm. Awesome.